LA is like nowhere. Everybody who lives here is lost.
Garby is like nowhere. Everybody who knows him learns. Sorry. Hi. It's me, your host, Drew Garby, and the show, Learn With Me, Drew Garby. You are, of course, listening to Paper Moon Radio. Today, we're going to be learning about a seminal 90s teen LGBTQ trilogy, the Teen Apocalypse trilogy. For those of you who don't know, directed by Greg Araki. Those three films are, of course, Totally Fucked Up, The Doom Generation, and Nowhere. These were three films directed by Greg Araki between the years of, I think, 1993 and 1997. All of these films sort of explore sort of teenagedom in the 90s and sort of the alienation and all the various things that kind of come and being involved in being a teenager during that period of time. We'll hear some clips in between some of these songs and learn kind of a little bit about the films themselves, but I would highly recommend watching them. This show cannot do them service whatsoever. What you heard there in the introduction was I basically just recreated the introduction of the film Nowhere. It starts with James Duval kind of saying that little piece, and then, of course, going into Avalon 2 by Slowdive. James Duval is a reoccurring cast member of all of the films. He was sort of, I don't know if muse is the right word, but Greg Araki's muse at the time. So for this next little segment, we're going to go into kind of keep that shoegazy, dream poppy vibe going, because that is a theme of all of Greg Araki's films, but particularly of the Teen Apocalypse trilogy, and we'll hear some clips about love from the films. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it.
past you look so strong, then you fade away. The sun will blind my eyes, I'll love you anyway. Thirsty for your smile, I watch you fall away. You are a vapor trail in a deep blue sky. La 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 la, tremble with a sigh, glitter in your eye. You seem to come and go, I never seem to know. And all my time is yours as much as mine. We never have enough time to show our love.
It's great having them around, waking up, eating breakfast together, secretly holding hands at the movies. But sometimes I think that the only thing that's keeping us together is a mutual terror of loneliness.
I think I'm bisexual. I mean, I never actually dorked a girl or anything, but if it came down to it, I think I could. Like, I've gotten a boner before making out with one, and I like them. They're soft and pretty, fun to touch. It's not like I'm afraid of them or anything.
I want a baby. I want to have a kid of my own. I know everybody says that's crazy, that I'm too young, I'm not ready for the responsibility, blah, 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 but I know what I'm doing. Like, last week, I had my tarot cards read, and everything kept pointing towards motherhood, nurturing. The only problem is, I hate guys. Well, sex with guys anyways. I mean, getting poked with those big ugly things of theirs barfed me out to the extreme. I wish that me and Michelle, just the two of us, could have one ourselves and raise it together. She wants one too. We have all these...
You have the sun, I have the moon. You have to fly around the world all day to keep the sun upon your face. I'd like to come and comfort you, but I'd be blinded by the blue. You have the sun, I have the moon.
feel really weird tonight. Like something's gonna happen.
Me too.
Hey, Amy. Do you love me?
Yeah, totally. Why?
It's just... I love you can mean a lot of things, like you'll do till someone better comes along, or... I can't describe how I really feel, but I know I'm supposed to say this. Or shut up. I'm watching TV.
Are you stoned? I think sometimes the city is sucking away at my soul. Like, yesterday, I was stuck in this humongous traffic jam on the 405 freeway. I just couldn't wait to get to the dead bodies lying there on the bloody asphalt. Like, all I cared about was getting out and moving again.
I know. I feel like a gerbil smothering in Richard Gere's butthole.
There just is no place for us in this world.
Listen close and don't be stunned. I'll be here in
some escape, some door to open. This path seems the blackest, but I guess it's the soonest. But there in the clearing, I know you'll be wearing your young aching smile and waving your hand. Can't go with my heart when I can't feel what's in it. I thought you'd come over, but for some reason you didn't. Glass on the pavement under my shoe. Without you is all my life amounts to. A final sleep, no words from my cutting mouth to your ear, or tired wicked pinches from my fingers to your bitter face that I can't heal. I know tomorrow you will be somewhere in London, living with someone. You got some kind of family there to turn to, and that's more than I could ever give you. A chance for calm, a hope for freedom, outlet from my cold solitary kingdom. By the forest of our spring stay, where you walked away and left a bleeding part of me, empty and bothered, watching the water, quiet in the corner, numb and falling through. Without you, what does my life amount to?
Katie's Song by the Red House Painters. Before that, I played Allison, Slow Dive, Seekers Who Are Lovers, Cocteau Twins, I Have the Moon, Lush, Vapor Trail, Ride, and of course, Never Ending Night, Pale Saints. So to kind of summarize what we just experienced there, I mean, that was a lot of shoegaze, a lot of dream pop. The two clips I played were from Totally Fucked Up and The Doom Generation. All of these movies kind of explore love and trying to find love and kind of what that looks like at that time at the end of the 20th century, and sort of all of these alienated teens who kind of feel disaffected by society for one reason or another, be it because they're alternative, because they're gay, because they just don't fit in. No matter what it is, that's just kind of them trying to kind of find love. And some of them are already in relationships or entering into relationships, or the relationships are, we watch them end, or sort of the process of these relationships unfold. So I kind of kept it in the shoegazy dream poppy world because it kind of coincides with that kind of like feeling of love and things like that. Not to get all sappy or anything like that. But yeah, you can also tell that there's kind of a sense of humor with these movies, particularly from the Doom Generation clip, where James Duval is talking about feeling like a gerbil. I won't continue the rest of that for sake of time, but with that sort of fun nature of things, we're kind of take a turn here from the shoegazy and kind of dream pop, and kind of turn more into kind of rock and roll, baby. Maybe a little bit of pop too, because these movies are funny and they are fun, and they do have some kind of like road trip vibes and kind of teens kind of doing whatever they were going to dig in with some Radiohead. Anyway, enjoy.
Seen of good
Welcome to Carno Burger. May I have your order, please?
Give me the Slop-A-Rama Belly Buster, no onions, a passion fruit slurpster, and a side of curly Q fries.
I'll have some barbecue beef chunks, some fried cheese balls, and Avion.
Diet Coke extra large.
She never eats when she does, Crystal.
Shut up.
That'll be all?
Yup. Hey, I lost my earring.
That'll be 666. Please pull forward to the window.
Remember where their home is. Everyone they meet
God. Tutti Fruit's party's tonight, and I have no clue who to go with.
What about Jason? I'm going with Jason.
Well, then I'll go with Tomas.
I thought you were going with Tomas. Tomas has a dinky weenie. You did Tomas? Ew, I'm sure. Gross. I thought Jason was doing Tomas.
Jason's doing that Valley slut hole Eileen Schwarzkopf.
Untrue. Says who?
Eileen.
And you believe her? Hello, she lives in Whittier. If Jason did Eileen, then he must have done Richard.
Who's Richard?
Eileen other skag. Like, she's totally into these Kinko three-ways. Eileen is a whore.
Is Richard the surfer with the hair lip that drives the black Jetta?
No, he's got a Lexus.
I thought he hung himself.
No, he's like totally gorgeous. Plus, he's got a Lexus.
Is he gay?
Who, Jason? Richard?
Tomas.
Well, duh, what do you think, Dingleberry? I swear, Trudy, you can sit.
can.
That was Nowhere by Curve. Before that, I played Teenage Suicide, Unrest, In the City, Elastica, Trash, Suede, Dogs Rule the Night, Porno for Pyros, and of course, How Can You Be Sure, Radiohead. To just kind of talk about that little section there, I mean, I thought it was pretty funny, right? The clips that I put in there. One of them being from the Doom generation yet again, ordering some food from the drive-thru, and then, of course, the sort of Valley Girls from nowhere. Yeah, I think sort of another prevailing theme in sort of Greg Araki's films is sort of a critique of society, particularly of capitalism as a whole. You can hear when they're ordering at the drive-thru like a Belly Buster burger with Slurpsters and then also an Avion. It's kind of funny. That film has like several sort of critiques of sort of society at that time. Like there's another point where they're in a gas station and it says like shoplifters will be executed, and there's like a picture of like a gun like pointed at you. Yeah. Also, shout out Amy Blue for being the prototype with the extra large Diet Coke, and that being all. A lot of people think they're her, but they ain't her. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was kind of the quote unquote fun section of sort of the movies and sort of the music in them. Now we're going to get a little bit angry, a little bit industrial, because these movies also kind of deal a lot with angst and rage, particularly at society, due to just sort of the alienation in one's life or how society sort of rejects people. We'll hear a clip that kind of explains that a little bit more, but we're going to kick it off here with Down Underwater. Enjoy.
against no one. It strikes both men and women, of every age, race, and lifestyle. AIDS kills. It's that simple.
It's government-sponsored genocide. Biological warfare. I mean, think about it. A deadly virus that spread only through premarital sex and needle drugs? It's like a born-again Nazi Republican wet dream come true.
I saw this guy on Nightline once. He was like a skeleton with purple, splotchy skin. Just waiting to die. I'll never forget the look in his eyes.
AIDS will go down in history as one of the worst holocausts ever. I mean, America's committing genocide against its own people, and eventually this plague's gonna rack up more casualties than Hiroshima and Hitler combined. And nobody will ever forgive our lame shit government for just sitting back and letting it all happen.
was Kitty Grinder by Marilyn Manson. Before that, I played Heresy, 9 Inch Nails, Motor Skill, 16 Volt, and as I mentioned earlier, Drag Me Down Under, God Lives Underwater. So yeah, that segment was a bit more sort of brutal, a little bit more angry, a bit angsty, and from the clip, I mean, you can tell that obviously these films are very political and do, and were made and sort of, Greg Araki began his career in the midst of the AIDS crisis, and a lot of these films are a response to that in some form or capacity. It is something that kind of permeates a lot of his work, and how could it not? I mean, it was something that, I think the clip puts it well. It was a genocide against, a minority of the population, of a population that, wasn't cared for by the government in any form, particularly under the Reagan administration. I mean, the government let hundreds of thousands of people die. Eventually, in the 90s, there is treatments to sort of mitigate the effects of AIDS and, expand the life of people who are, affected by it. But, that I think that could have been solved a lot earlier. But due to the population it was affecting being intravenous drug users and gay people, I kind of got thrown by the wayside. And, this sort of experience kind of permeates, through Greg Araki's work of, the government doesn't really care about, gay youth, doesn't care about gay people in general, and sort of the alienation and sort of the anger and the angst that causes, these teens, and growing up in a world where it just doesn't seem like anybody really cares about what's going on or what's happening. So of course they're cynical, and of course they're sort of doing drugs and being promiscuous and doing whatever they want, because ultimately society doesn't care for them. So why should they care what society thinks? Also, as a result of this, there comes some existentialism, some sort of sadness. So that's kind of where we're going to end things off here with this last little bit. We're going to, of course, have a last song, but this last little bit is going to be about kind of alienation in general. And we're going to go back to shoegaze because I think it summarizes it well. So with that being said, but still, that's a part of life, man.
want is to be happy for like 1 second. Be able to look around and not just see shit. Say, hey, it's a beautiful day. I want to enjoy life while I'm still young enough to appreciate it. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
The light color in this room, the sunshine seeping in, doesn't mix with a blackout. Death's angel looming in. I want a piece of these brutal beatings and name callings, to lose me to despair, bruised internally, eternally. Your praise, little gifts you spent your money and starved me with. Didn't amount to anything. The attention I need is much more serious. A kind of weight you couldn't lift. Even if your cheap career depended on it. I need someone much more mysterious to be my mistress. To be my mistress. To be my mistress. To be my mistress.
Are you? Yes. Well, that explains. That explains.
Dear diary, what a day. I swear I've never been so depressed, miserable, and lonely in my entire life. It's like I know there's got to be somebody out there somewhere. Just one person in this huge, horrible, unhappy universe who can hold me in their arms and tell me everything's going to be okay. And how long do I have to wait before that person shows up? I feel like I'm sinking deeper and deeper into quicksand, watching everyone around me die a slow, agonizing death. It's like we all know, way down in our souls, that our generation is going to witness the end of everything. You can see it in our eyes. It's in mine. Look. I'm doomed. I'm only 18 years old and I'm totally doomed.
that was Blue-Eyed and Clear, Slow Dive. I don't know why I said it with a southern accent. Already There, the verb was played before that. And of course, Mistress, the piano version by Red House Painters. And 1,000 Stars Burst, Pale Saints. Yeah, so that was just kind of highlighting sort of the isolation and the alienation that sort of these movies kind of touch on. They touch on them in different ways throughout the movies, but you can kind of see the climax of it kind of comes in the last film, Nowhere, which was that last clip that I played. And it's towards the end of the movie, and James Duval, who you've heard a lot because he's in every single one of these movies and a main character in every single one of them, kind of summarizes the feelings, I think, that all these movies kind of are culminating towards, is that, you know, we're experiencing the end of something, that something is sort of awry. He wasn't necessarily able to identify it at that time, but I would say it might have to do something with the dang old economy, with capitalism perhaps, and the world situation kind of deteriorating as a result of a system in decline. But I'll kind of leave it there for now. I don't have time to go on for forever, but, you know, I think if you gather anything from this episode this week, it's watch Greg Araki's films, particularly the Teen Apocalypse trilogy. I think they're all great films in their own right and kind of feed off of each other and deal with sort of similar themes. A lot of his other work is great too, particularly Mysterious Skin. It is a hard watch. It's a very difficult subject matter, but it is a really, really great film and a great book as well. He is also coming out with a new film. It seems like it's a sex comedy, so a little bit of a different vibe, but I'm definitely interested in checking it out when it does eventually come out. But that being said, thanks for tuning in. I mean, we're kind of wrapping things up here. As far as next week, I have no idea what I'm doing next week, so tune in next week, same time, same place, for maybe a little surprise. Maybe it'll be New Jack Swing. Maybe it'll be more shoegaze. Who knows? I got to figure it out tomorrow and sit down and really gather my thoughts. So we're going to end it off with a song that sort of ends off the Teenage Apocalypse trilogy, or the Teen Apocalypse trilogy. It's a song that plays at the end of Nowhere, after sort of the ending of the film, which I will not spoil, which I think is like absolutely fantastic, and I think it kind of summarizes the cynical and sort of angsty nature of the film. But that song is Love is Stronger Than Death by The. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Hope you check out the films of Greg Araki. And I'll see you same time for Moon Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.